originally in Spanish, 2019. Uranus is a gas giant that's, like the other giants of this type, will have a light atmosphere above and progressively becomes denser and denser as we go down. But it differs in something important compared to Saturn, Jupiter and Neptune, that below it does have a solid surface with a clear differentiation between that and the atmosphere, which has such a great pressure at this point that its surface is literally made of diamond. At many points you can see rocks by compression of less density than diamond, such as quartz formation and crystals. From the 5D point of view, which is the one that matters because it is the standard of the universe in terms of material density, it is similar to the fauna of other gas planets in that they are beings that spend their entire lives flying without knowing solid ground, since they cannot descend to the surface, or at least that is what is believed from here. From higher densities, they contain beings of light, 6D and higher, with their corresponding advanced civilizations, if it can be called such a thing, since the rules of interaction are different in those densities, being superfluous as civilization as it is known, for example, in 3D or 5D. They are, as in the other cases, bioplasmic beings, concentration of energy of consciousness very advanced in the process of becoming something that no longer needs any form. They take the one they wish from their point of view. On their moons, we also find bases of other interstellar species, mostly below the surface, especially the big ones, Titania, Umbriel, Ariel and Oberon. Miranda, on the other hand, has its own strange flora and fauna. It is full of life, which makes it different from the others that do not contain much indigenous life in them that is unique to them. Miranda has an extensive variety of strange animals beneath its surface and beneath extensive ice sheets. This is fueled by internal tectonic activity, impressive for a small moon, even more so when compared to Oberon, the largest of Uranus' moons, which is geologically quite stable. Life on these moons is sustained in the form of energy precisely because of the tectonic activity of the moons themselves. Being so far from the Sun, they receive almost no energy from it. They are self-sustaining worlds. I insist, Miranda has a lot of life under the ice. It is an orchid of strange life. It teems with life.
Doesn't it act as a mirror like Tiamat? Does Miranda have intelligent life like Earth?
No, it is full of life, but animal and plant life. Ecosystems based entirely on geothermal springs, both terrestrial and aquatic. Geothermal springs hold pockets of hot liquid water in specific areas under the ice. These are the cores of much of their primordial life that serve as the basis for the food chain of larger animals that inhabit their seas, far below a methane-rich ice shell. Miranda contains no basis of other civilizations. It is not necessary, as other moons are better equipped to support a forward base.
And why are the satellites named after angels?
Because they are human names given by humans. They are gods and characters from ancient mythology, mostly Norse, Phoenician, Greek, and Roman.
Uranus also has an asteroid belt, right?
Neptune, also because of Tiamat. The rings of Uranus are very small. I don't know if they can be included as rings. In fact, all the big planets have rings, but Neptune's, as we will see, are more special. I have seen images of Uranus's rings, but they don't match my data here. The problem is that there is a discrepancy between my data and the data there, but only with respect to size and arrangement. Since I have them as very small here, they would only become or look larger if more space debris or rocks in a less dense state are taken into account. That is, widely spaced apart.
Are there any artificial moons? Anything that's hidden from us?
None, but that changes with the ships that park there sometimes.
What material are the rings made of? Ice rock?
Yes, well, they are also debris from Tiamat and other things or rocks that it has captured throughout history.
Same material as Saturn, I guess?
Yes.
This blue color is from the gas, not from the water, is it? Didn't it have the same effect as Mirror Tiamat?
It has many moons, but it depends on how they are viewed. In total, it officially has 27 moons. The thing about Uranus is that its gaseous surface has low reflectivity. Tiamat, which means the aqueous, had seas, so it was practically a mirror. Also, at that time, the solar system was in a denser arrangement. The planets were all closer together, yet in harmony.
Wow, thank you, Swaruu. Are all of those 27 official moons of natural origin?
They are all natural. What are moons precisely? Satellites of planets? Moon is a dense mass as a single unit large enough to exert a significant gravitational effect on its surroundings and on the planet it orbits.
Are there extraterrestrial races that extract minerals from Uranus and its satellites?
Sure, there are bases there. Naturally, they extract their resources from the moons and rings, mostly moons, because the rings are too sparse. Moons can have different origins. Excuse me, moon equals satellite? Some are formed at the same time as the base planet. Others are captured. Still others are taken there by interstellar races with the purpose to use them later as bases, or simply to compensate some problem of instability of the region in general by its gravitational effect as ballast or counterweight. Similar, a moon is a satellite, but some satellites are not moons. What is the difference? I don't understand some basic things sometimes. Satellite can be something small, but to qualify as a moon, certain mass criteria must be met. Size and mass criteria that Phobos and Deimos, the moons of Mars, barely meet.
Thank you, Swaruu. And mostly, what types of minerals do they mine?
base minerals for alloys, iron and carbon, and gold, of course, and construction material, although less so, because they use the material from the site where a base is built, as it is mostly underground. Okay, I have a question. It can relate to any planet. It's about these beings that live there in high densities. One thing I don't understand. You have said at some point that these high-density beings no longer belong to any race or location. So how are they located here or there, on Uranus or on Jupiter? They are not that high. I'm talking mostly about the lower 6D. And those same beings are everywhere, not just there. They are just somewhere because it's a concentration of energy attention that largely emanates from themselves as creators, or part of consciousness like that of the planet, consciousness of the planet. From our point of view, they are located there. From theirs, they are not. They no longer need places, unless they desire it as to communicate with beings of lower densities. For them, the universe is their home. They are free. Those beings present themselves as beings of light, therefore something that compares to something else that is not them, like a being of light that has been seen in the forest, being of light being the creature versus the forest, not the creature. That contrast of what is them and what is not them comes from your interpretation of things, and they know that because they understand the dimensions below them, and they manifest that way so you can interact with them, so you can see the difference between them and what is not them, forest. They don't even need form. They just are. Those who need names and give names to things are the beings with lower understanding, since the more advanced ones deal with concepts only. They could pass for the whole forest, and me walking through this forest without knowing that I'm walking through one of these beings? They do not pass for the forest. They are the forest. They are a planet. Interpretations of them or about them seen from low densities and low density points of view, where you still have to think in duality, because it is still duality if you need to contrast it with something to know what it is. Uranus, the planet, is not Miranda, it's moon. Uranus is not Mars, nor is it a cake. That is also duality. They only manifest themselves this way because they want you to see them as something. They are the whole. They are everywhere, but you cannot interpret them as a being. That would be your understanding, not theirs. Take a little ant as an example. It is a 3D being, but imagine it is 2D. It only knows how to move in one plane. You understand the ant, but the ant does not understand you. You can do something manipulative, like looks like that ant, and appears in its life in front of it. You will have lowered yourself to the ant's level of consciousness so that you can be seen by it. A robot ant, for example, that you control, yet you are not that other ant. As light beings, they let themselves be seen as something. An angel glowing, for example, but it is by lowering themselves to the perceptual and understanding level of the people with whom they wish to interact. Hello my friends, how did you like this video about Uranus? It's been a while since I published the next episode of the solar system. Here it is. Now I'm appearing here for a short few moments just to comment on the last part of this video. I just couldn't resist it. It was about how those beings who occupy higher densities, they no longer need any specific residency, location, or they do not require any form. And I found that example of the forest and me passing through the forest really amazing and beautiful, because here what she is saying is that those beings no longer having any form, they, for example, they are the planet, they are the forest itself. So if I'm passing through the forest, it's not that they are passing for that forest, they are the forest. But since if I wanted to interact with them, or they with me, since for me I'm unable to interact with the whole forest, so they would manifest as something, so that for my mind that is still locked within the dualistic mode of perceiving things, can differentiate them being the full forest as something. So I can differentiate, okay, this is, for example, an eagle. They would appear as an eagle, and for me, my mind is seeing this as a form, as something else, versus not being something else. Because here, within this dualistic world, we are unable to perceive the whole forest being a being, and even less communicate with it. But if we have in front of us an eagle, or a rabbit, or a cloud even, or another person, then that something differentiates itself from something else. That's what we need to interact. We cannot interact with the wholeness, with the whole forest. We need to interact with that being through a specific form it will have to take. Like, for example, with that example of that ant. If we wanted to communicate with the ant, we will have to kind of go down to its level and present ourselves as another ant, for example. We would control it from a distance. Of course, we are not that ant, but in order for that ant to understand us, we will have to present ourselves as the ant. So it's the same here, that being the whole planet, for example, or the whole forest, would need to lower itself down to our level of perception, and would need to present itself as something. We need something. But the amazing thing is that the whole forest is the being. The planet is the being. It's just that, it's such a different here grade of reality that it's very difficult for us both to interface, to interact. So that's why those beings, knowing that, they come manifest as a form. So if you see an angel, for example, people see a being with wings or something, well, that's the form they like to take, but it's for you to identify them as something. It's not because that's how they are, or because that's what they need. So actually, I remember the conversation with Dale Harder, and Dale was talking about how he calls the ships. There's a train, well, part of the train. How he calls the ships, and the ships appear to him. Well, as Swaruu of Erra, I think it was explained, actually it was probably part of himself on a higher level, of some higher being that he is calling into his reality, manifesting as that ship for whatever reason, for a confirmation, for a connection, for closeness, to appear to him that way, because that's what he wants, that's what he needs, that's what he needs for him to perceive. But it's not that they need that form to be, because that's not how they are. They are everywhere, they are formless, shapeless, they can take any form. So my point with this is, you know, pay attention. Next time you are in the forest, I was trying to find a forest nearby, but I couldn't find any, like, right away. So I came here. This is not a forest, but it's equally beautiful. There is a lake. It's a frozen lake right now. It's like -6 degrees. So be in nature and try to commune with those beings that may not necessarily have any form. It doesn't mean they're not there. They are the forest, they are the lake, they are the planet. But then pay attention to those formed ones too. Maybe a rabbit crossing a road, you know, crossing a path, saying something. Anyway, so that's just my comment on this topic, which I find absolutely fascinating about those higher beings, formless beings. Which, by the way, I will tell you a little secret. That's actually how I feel myself, very much. I know that's what we all are, but I think some of us identify with a form, with specific extraterrestrial race, for example. But I feel that my most true core, my most true me, what I feel closest to is a shapeless, formless being, just being. Even though, you know, I have these Tibetan connections and all that, but they are also beings manifesting as Tibetans, because that's where they want to be. Anyway, so that's that. Thank you very much for watching this video, and we are going to move on to the next one. Of course, I have 2 more planets to discuss in the solar system series, but now we're gonna move to other topics. Like, for example, we have 2 videos on medpods, and well, that's the biggest one so far, and there are others in line as always. Thank you very much for watching, and enjoy here this beautiful view. Enjoy what you have around your homes, and until the next one, until we see each other again, bye bye.